Okay, guys, welcome to Transition Time, class number 3, part 2. And today we're going to learn the rest of letting go. Now, if you have missed the first 3 classes, that's okay. You're going to get something out of this. Just go back and watch the first 3. So there's class 1, 2, 3, part 1, and today is 3, part 2. Okay? If you are new to this and somehow you came across this video and you don't know where to find the other 3, just go into my YouTube channel. I will put that on the screen for everyone. So let's see, youtube.com. See, and where should I go? All right, there it is. Diane, I see you. You are back again, looking lovely. Okay. Let's minimize that. So Nikki says, no video here because my 22-month-old is obsessed with going potty on the normal size potty and likes to sit there forever and hang out. So she's sparing us all from the view. We are so grateful. Thank you so much, Nikki. I love you. Okay, so welcome to Kirsten and Sushila, and who do we have over here? Let's see, Dana, Charlize, Diane, Kathleen. Is that? I'm trying to see if I can even recognize who you are. Put your name on here. Ron and Sharmila and Chow and Kieran, hi hon, and Stephanie and Nikki and Amanda and Michelle and Cindy and Rachel and Charles and Marcia. We also have, let's see, Micheline, hi hon, and Kathy and Steph and Marcia. Fabulous. Why can I not remember your name? I know your name and I'm blanking on it. Do you know how to put anything in chat? Maybe not because you're on the phone. Okay. Miss Shalene says hi to everyone. And Ron says hola because he's in Mexico, which he is. Okay. All right. Let's get started. Let me pull up my screen. We got lots to do today as usual, and I'm going to try not to go over. Wish me luck on that one. Okay. Here we go, transition time, class 3, letting go. All right, so in classes 1 and 2, we talked all about understanding this human life. We really looked at understanding the ego. So if you haven't watched that, go back and do it, okay? In class 2, we really started to uncover, what did the ego do to us? Well, it caused you to have reactionary behaviors. It caused you to have emotional charges, personal needs, coping mechanisms, okay? It got you to act like a big, jerky pants. That's what the ego does, okay? We've all acted like jerky pantses. I'm a big jerky pants, okay, in my lifetime. But I've learned to tame my ego a lot so that I don't have to be a jerky pants. Now I'm a pretty pants, okay? All right, so we also learned how to understand what kind of false beliefs we created inside of ourselves. And we learned about emotional charges. So in the first class of part 3, we're going to do a little bit of a review, but today we're going to learn how to let go, really let go. So we're going to do a little bit of review and then get into the new stuff. So last class, in the classes before, I said, you've got to become the observer, all right? You really do. And then I said, you need to become the ultimate observer. You need to pay attention all the time to how you feel, how you're thinking, how you're responding to yourself. Are you beating yourself up? You need to really think about or understand and observe how you treat others. How do you think and respond to life? What is your chatter? What's going on? What are your natural reactions? What makes you trigger? Okay, these are things you want to really observe in yourself. Now, we're now going to learn how to be the super ultimate observer. And we started that in the first part 1 of class 3. We talked about victimization and projection. So you have to observe when you are becoming a victim or when you're projecting. when it comes to being a victim to anything, you're creating this life. All the time you're creating it, okay? You have all the power to determine whether you're happy or unhappy. You actually do. You determine your worth. You determine your value. You determine whether you're going to be safe or unsafe. You determine that, okay? You really do, every moment of every day. So what I talked about last time, if you haven't watched it, is you got to take your power back. Don't play victim to anything. I shared about an experience. Kirsten knows about this. She was my beautiful friend who stood by my side when this happened. I ended up beat up in Belmopan, Belize, and left at a Mayan cave in nothing but my swimsuit. And it was terrifying. I was in mainland. I wasn't from mainland. I lived on an island. And so it was terrifying for me. I thank God still to this moment for that experience, because it brought me into such a strength inside of me that I'm no victim to that man. I'm no victim to that circumstance. I'm no victim to Belize. Certainly not. Okay? That man was just wounded. And I needed that for my highest and greatest growth. I took my power back, man. I'm not sitting with any pain. And I did the activities that I'm going to teach you today so that I can think about that experience and I have no PTSD. I have no charges. I don't feel anything. It's just a thing where I can go, wow, I'm really in gratitude. Okay, that's power. So we also talked not only about observing when you feel like you're a victim and working to change that, but really understanding when you're projecting at other people. Projection is a defense mechanism that we have where we point fingers at other people, okay? Or we throw our emotional stuff at them, or we yell at them, or we blame them, or we manipulate them into thinking everything is their fault. It was all you. You did this. If you wouldn't, okay, yeah, okay. All that does is it helps you to avoid admitting that you have some pain inside. It helps you to avoid, maybe you did something wrong and crappy. Well, we all do, okay? It keeps you away from unwanted feelings, okay? So we project, it's a normal thing to have happen, where we feel better about ourselves and we feel superior and in control and better than. It helps us mask our own emotions. It helps us overlook our own faults because we can't speak a truth to ourselves. So we project our truth about ourselves onto others. We usually blame them for what we think about ourselves, all right? So Stan says, is it possible that the ego blocks we have in this life are from old contracts, vows, or traumas from another one? Yeah, you know what? I'm going to say something about that. I'm in the process of writing, Charlize read the beginning of my book. So I've got another book in the works, and it's a pretty intense one. And I'm writing about past lives, but I'm going to tell you something. When I first did my very biggest healing in this lifetime, what happened is that at the end of seeing why I thought I was a bad person and a worthless person, I'm tears flowing and snot falling down my face and, sobbing. I got done with seeing all these things and releasing all this pain around it. And then all of a sudden I saw 2 past lives. And they said, you're going to have to deal with these 2 past lives in this lifetime. Like I said, I'm about to put out a very, very crazy book. Charlize said about my book, she said, it's amazing. Oh, yay. She said, I can't wait to read the rest. Yes, Kathleen, she said, yes, it is. Kelly shared the beginning with me too. Yeah, there are about 3 people I have sent that book to, and 2 of them are here. Right. And well, maybe the other one might be here too. Most of the time she is. So anyway, oh man. Okay. Yes, those past lives can surface in this lifetime if you are supposed to clear it, if it has to do with whatever you're healing in this lifetime. Because sometimes people, we start karma, our life lesson, in a past life, and we finish it in another. If you're finishing it up in this life, it's going to come in your face. All right. I'm sorry. Show up in your face. Thank you, Nikki. She is here. All right. So projection, guys. Here's what we do when we project. We create a trigger inside of us where we don't want to look at our own stuff. So we create a big angry hate bomb inside of us. And it could be in the form of an insult, criticism, a judgment, blame, control. It could be passive aggressive. It could be very aggressive. It could be telling your partner how they feel that they are, or blasting an emotional outburst to them, or taking frustrations out, or it could be at anyone. And we take that hate bomb and we whip something in the form of nastiness or control, or even passiveness. Yes, well, you're just like your mother, aren't you? Quite passive, a little aggressive. You have a choice. Everyone has a choice. You can take an angry hate bomb that somebody threw at you, or they can take an angry hate bomb that you lobbed at them, catch it, and put it inside as hurt and wounding. You hurt me. No, nobody can hurt you but you. But it feels like that. Okay? And all we're doing is taking their hurt and wounding and choosing to insert it in ours. Okay? You don't have to catch them. Here's the other thing we tend to do. We tend to throw one back. Yeah, well, you're like this. You're just controlling. Okay, well, now you just engaged. If you were in the last class, you know how I said, if you're getting angry and upset with something that's happening globally, well, now you're engaging. Don't engage. Okay? Engage in a good way, which is throwing something beautiful back. Okay? Don't throw an angry hate bomb back. And here's the other thing. I want you to get like this. I want you to get like The Matrix. If you haven't watched The Matrix, it's an amazing movie. You might want to watch it, okay? It's definitely a see again film. The Matrix can dodge bullets coming at him. He's quite amazing, all right? I want you to become the Matrix, all right? And I want you to dodge those angry hate balls. You don't have to bend over backwards. I'm not going to pay anybody's hospital bills because you did a back bend and said, well, Kelly told me to dodge. No, just, you know, or just look at the person and go, yeah, I'm not catching that. No, I'm not playing. And you don't say that out loud. You have an inside voice. Your inside voice decides you're not going to play with their angry hate bomb. And you leave it be, okay? If you realize that this is what projection is, it's people throwing their hurt and wounding around, you're going to learn not to play. If you can't do any of this, okay? If you can't dodge, can you at least become the dude? I'm going to play a little script for you here. The dude is from The Big Lebowski, all right? The Big Lebowski. Oh, dear, I don't know that I can get to this. Hold on. Huh. I can't seem to get internet up. Can I move this? I can. Ha! Okay. The Big Lebowski is it's kind of a cult film, and it's this guy he just doesn't give a rip about anything, and he's pretty hilarious. So I'm going to play a little clip for y'all to see. If you can't hear this,
well, you know, that's just like your opinion, man.
All right, let's try that again. Oh, oh, sorry. Oops. Okay, you get him. All right. Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. Well, now y'all got the F-bomb today. So anyway, but the part I wanted you to see and I wanted to repeat for you was him saying, that's just like your opinion, man. Okay, and he is full of the F-bomb because he doesn't care. All right, if anything, just let it be someone else's opinion. Get a little dude-like. You don't have to drop the F-bomb. I'm not recommending it. Okay, it just upsets people. All right, but just get in there and chill out. All right, let yourself kind of let things flow by and not take it personal and not catch it. Now, that stuff we talked about last time. Oh, you guys couldn't see the new window. Oh, darn it. Okay, well, thank you for telling me, Rachel. Hopefully you guys heard it, but good thing you didn't, because I accidentally went to another clip and he was dropping the F-bomb left and right. So, so anyway, he's basically, it's like your opinion, man. Okay? Don't project. Don't become a victim. Now, let's talk about where you guys are at. If you've been through the first 3 classes, and if you haven't, you'll catch up. We all know this. Okay, we're full of it. We're full of hard emotions and behaviors and needs and coping mechanisms. You know not to become a victim or project, but you can't help it because you got triggers and you got reactions and you're trying to protect yourself. Okay? You know that's the case. And here's the thing, that's called human conditioning. You guys are human. We have been conditioned in our lives to get in pain. Because just like those dark forces, the ego is the dark force that challenges us to choose the light. Okay? So here's our girl again. I love our girl. And she said, okay, so I'm full of human conditioning. I'm a needy, reactionary mess. Now what? Okay, this is Kelly. Now what? She says. And I talked about last time. I am not going to tell you just to let it go, because this isn't a fairy tale. You know, this is an experience of real life, and we don't just let these things go. Something has to happen for you to let it go. So let's talk about what has to happen. The keys to letting go are, the first steps are to understand yourself, which is why for 3 weeks I've been having you analyze yourself, understand what's inside of you, observe yourself, see it. You have to see it and understand it to change it. And yeah, it took us 3 weeks. All right, this doesn't happen overnight. Now, last class, I asked you to get into understanding forgiveness, to understand forgiving yourself and maybe getting to the point of even forgiving others. Today, we're going to learn about healing your younger yous and releasing emotional charges around experiences. All right? Last time, there is a worksheet that I have on the Facebook page, and it's in our Files tab. You can always find it there. All right? It's called The Wonders of Why. And it says, why do I cope this way? Why do I have these needs? Why do I have these behaviors? So you describe what it is that you're feeling. And then you ask yourself these particular why questions, and sometimes a what question. Okay, what were you feeling when it happened? Why do you think you felt that way? What happened in your childhood that would have led to you feeling that way? And now re-look at your situation. Now, why did you have the trigger? Why did you behave the way you did? There's always a reason, and it always comes back to human conditioning. If you didn't have the human conditioning, you never would have triggered, okay? Every behavior, need, reaction is an indicator you have something to heal, right? It doesn't mean it's bad. This is what you came here for, all right? So do this activity as many times as you need. And I want to give you an example today. Describe a reaction, behavior, or trigger. Oh, okay, here we go. Here's one. I completely blew up my mom over something so small on the phone today. I completely barked at her, and I could tell by her silence that she was really hurt. For God, she drives me nuts. What were you feeling inside about yourself when that happened? Well, I felt bad. I know she wasn't trying to irritate me, but I was tired and I was feeling really impatient with her. Well, why do you think you felt that way? Well, sometimes it's like I just don't respect her. She's such a doormat. She never stands up for herself. And I feel like I'm a strong person, and I don't understand why she doesn't stand up for herself. Okay, why does that bother you? What happened in your childhood that led to feeling the way that you do? Well, I don't know. I guess when I was a kid, I always watched my dad boss my mom around. She just did anything that he said. And sometimes he would say really awful things to her, and she just sat there and took it. I mean, he'd say things to me too. She never stood up for me. I couldn't count on her. He makes her miserable to this day. And I just don't understand why she puts up with it. So now, re-look at your trigger. Why did you have that reaction? Well, first, because I was overtired. And second, I was stressed from work. But third, I think because I'm holding a grudge against my mom for being weak. I'm stressed and I'm overtired. It just comes out. Yeah. I want an Oscar for that. Okay, so that's a situation. That's a situation that is exactly why we do the wonders of why. You've got to start looking backward and looking backward and looking backward. If you continue to point fingers at mom or at anyone, your spouse, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your friend, your boss, your, whoever, society, you're not going to heal anything. You're not going to get anywhere, and you're going to stay stuck in the same place, and your life lessons will come at you again and 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 again until you learn them. If you don't learn them in this lifetime, you will learn them in another. You'll die an unhappy old person, and or maybe young, and then you're going to pop back into a new life, and you're going to get the same stuff again. You don't check out of your lessons, okay? So doing these kinds of activities will be really critical for you to keep asking why. When the experience happened to me in Belmopan, I did not point the finger at that man. I looked inside of myself and I said, why? What am I trying to teach myself in this? This is insane. Okay? So I asked you to really think about this. Who do you need to forgive in your life? A younger you? A neglectful parent? A friend? An aunt? A grandma? A boss? An ex? Who do you need to forgive? And I asked you to create some letters. And you don't have to send them. That's actually in the directions. This is about getting in there and analyze how you were hurt by someone and how you are not going to be the victim. What were you learning? How could you let it go? This is critical, because if you can't understand why you should forgive someone, you're not going to heal. They're going through their own coping mechanisms, their own pain, their own wounding. And in class, I think it was class number 1, maybe 2, I put in there a bunch of different people. I think it was 2. And I said, until you can love Hitler as much as you love Mother Teresa, you don't understand this life. And you don't understand the human condition. Some human conditioning is just uglier than others. But we all have it. Okay? So there was another activity that I had you go through last class. And this is a worksheet that's found on our Facebook page. All right. And if you're not on our Facebook page, it's the Inner Wisdom Circle with Kelly Schwagel. This right here is the Celtic symbol for compassion. So it asks you to get in and find your compassion. Really get in, look at these bullet points. Analyze why you should forgive someone if you can't. After you do the wonders of why, maybe complete finding your compassion. Because forgiveness equals compassion, right? You will either forgive yourself or others. Now, I also talked about last time that there are 3 treasures of wisdom: humility, compassion, and moderation. And compassion is going to become huge. Compassion, if you guys don't know this, is one of the highest, well, it is one of the highest vibrations you can feel as an emotion. The lowest are guilt and shame. Okay? This is the angelic symbol for compassion. Compassion is different than love, people, because compassion is understanding plus love. You understand why something occurred, so you can have compassion for it. You can't have compassion for something you don't understand. That's why we go through observing and understanding first. You know, you can feel for your younger selves or others through understanding why they behaved the way they did by doing the behavior or the wonders of why, or even looking at their circumstances. You're going to feel a deeper love because you understand your younger selves' pain, or you understand someone else's pain, or at least you try to. But you don't feel sorry for yourself, and you don't feel sorry for others, and you don't feel sorry for younger selves. It isn't about feeling sorry for. It's about having compassion for the human experience. You're going to feel a very deep connection for all of them, whether it's you, your younger selves, your people in your life, because they too are going through the human conditioning, and it's hard. It's so hard. Compassion is a very conscious choice, because you chose to take the time to try to understand them instead of blame them. And the them again is you or someone else or your younger yous. So anytime I talk about letting go, there are some key things that have to happen first. It always starts with the head. Okay, I know I tell you get out of your head, but we're going to start with understanding. That's the part of the head I want you to use. If you don't understand why you should forgive, you won't. If you don't understand what caused you to do something and why you reacted to the way that you did, you're not going to let it go. So understanding is the first step. All right. Second step, you have to open your heart to compassion. You now understand why you did it. Can you have compassion for yourself? You did that shitty thing because you were in pain. If you weren't in pain or in fear or protective or conditioned, you wouldn't have done it, nor would anyone else have done it. Okay? Ask yourself this question. Have you ever thrown yourself under a bus? Not literally, okay, because you're all here, so probably not. But have you ever done it? Have you ever betrayed yourself? Of course you have. Why did you do it? Because you were in pain, because you hurt, because you were wounded, because you were conditioned. That's the same thing as other people. They are hurt and wounded and conditioned. Okay, open your heart. Okay, she's back. Okay, she says, I understand why I am the way I am. I do have compassion for what I went through, and I'm ready to forgive. So now what do you want me to do? What am I supposed to do? All right, let's talk about that. Here are the steps in letting go. You got to get quiet with yourself. You got to let the outside world go for a while. And I'll give you some ways to do this, okay? But I'm going to teach you the steps first. You have to enter an inner world inside of you that has nothing to do with the people outside of you. And you're going to surface painful moments. We'll talk about this too. You're going to connect with your younger self. Whether it was you yesterday, a moment ago, or you 50 years ago. And you're going to become their parent. You're going to nurture them and teach them, and you're going to release charges around harsh moments, and you're going to forgive them, and you're going to love and nurture and have passion for yourself and others. And we're going to go through each of these steps. Okay? So, when it comes to getting quiet, this means that you are not in chatter. You're not in blah, blah land. The front of the head, the frontal lobe, is your chatter box. You got to leave it. And what I try to say to people is imagine that there's a room in the center of your head where you don't have to think. It is your place of centeredness and peace and tranquility. It is safe. It is yours. So you leave the outside world. You imagine your sight flowing inside of you, where instead of seeing, you just become aware of you. So instead of all of your attention going like this, where it normally does outside of you, suddenly it goes inside of you, and you can pay attention to what's going on inside of you. It's only you inside of you. And you surrender. You surrender into feeling yourself. And I know it is hard. First time I went to feel inside of me, I was in so much pain. It was sickening what I felt. Okay? But when I could feel it and then go through these steps, I have never had to feel it again. Step 2, you gotta surface those painful moments, okay? If you don't surface your trauma, your pain, it is going to end up being like a rotten root inside of you that is just festering. And it will always subconsciously control you and always keep the dark force of the ego in charge. So you have to ask yourself, am I willing to surrender and expose inside of me what hurts so that I don't have to feel it again? Remember that when you shine a light in the dark, it's no longer in the dark. The light takes over. When you release the charge, you will no longer feel the pain. Okay? So really feel into this. I have had so many people who are like, dude, no, do you really have to go back? Because I'm not going back. Past is in the past, man. I am not dredging up all that old crap. Okay? I forgave my mom a long time ago. And I remember I actually had a lot of counselors and a lot of psychologists challenge me, and I'd be like, okay, come work with me. And they'll be like, okay, but I forgave my mom. And I'm like, okay, I'm sure you have, but can we just go back? And I get them into a quiet place, and I talk to them first about forgiveness and what, why their mom did the way what they did. A lot of times I channel them and speak to the mom and say, give them information they needed to have. And then they're like, oh, okay, yeah, okay. And we get into meditation, and they're like, I hate my mom, I hate her, I know you do. And they come off the table and they're like, you really have to go back. I'm like, I know. You do. If you don't, again, what's going to happen is what you don't treat will control you. When you make a conscious choice to not let it have the power any longer, the pain inside of you, you're going to feel different. I have so many experiences, whether they were embarrassing or traumatizing or whatever it is, painful, that I can look at any of them and I don't feel anything. Even if it was physical, like when I broke my vertebrae or any of those things, got in a car accident, I have no charges. Okay. I want you to understand something. You and your wise man, wise woman brain, you might be healed and you might know why you should forgive your mom, but you have to ask yourself, does the younger you or yous who experienced that, did they understand? Does the 30-year-old you understand when she got abused? Does the 40-year-old you understand when she got fired? Does the, I'm making these things up, okay? But you gotta understand, you might understand to forgive and let go, but it doesn't break apart neural programming. Okay, so we're gonna talk string theory. Aren't you excited? You didn't know we'd come on here and talk quantum physics, did you? Oh yeah, we are. Okay, so we're gonna make it easy. See the stick figures? It's easy. So string theory is a theory of existence, okay? It is said to explain all of existence. We're gonna talk about the first four. The first dimension is just a dot, okay? So when you were first created as a soul, you were like first dimension, you were just a dot in here, okay? Just a dot. All right, second dimension, now we're getting a little bit more. It's called a two-dimensional plane, okay? It's like a painting or a flat piece of paper. So did you ever hear the term flatlanders? And from those of you in Wisconsin, yeah, I know we call the Illinois people flatlanders. Don't tell them, but we do. Okay, that's not what we're talking about, okay? I totally hear you laughing. Okay, so the flatlanders here are those that are two-dimensional. They're just paper, okay? Third dimension is depth. Now you have depth. You can tangibly feel something. Okay, but there's no duration, there's no time. It's just tangible. So it's like third dimension is being in one place and like not moving. Here. It's not moving. There's no time. That's third dimension. Okay? Fourth dimension, I want you to imagine it like this. Now you have depth, where you can tangibly feel, and now you have duration called time. All right, so third going into fourth dimension would be like this three-dimensional figure now being able to walk through time or experience time. So I want you to imagine this. Your life is this piece of paper, okay? And every moment of every day, you're just walking along, and every time you get to the end of the paper, you just create more paper. All right, and the whole paper behind us tells our story of our life. And if you looked behind you at your piece of paper, would you have a bunch of ink blots? Would you have a bunch of stains? Would you have a lot of pain? Maybe part of it's on fire. Okay, mine was. Oh God, I think it was dripping and oozing. All right. So when you think about this, okay, so we're creating all this stuff. Watch this. Fourth dimension is taking that piece of paper that you were walking on, and it is rolling it backward so that where you were standing now folds backwards. So it's time folding back on itself and hitting a point in your past. This is called a combination of 3D, where points of time hit points of time. It's called fourth dimension. Now, actually moving into fifth. What we are going to do is doing this. We're actually going to be bending time and space. Okay? And you can't do it if you're out here in the outer world. You got to get in your inner world to revisit you at, let's say, age 7. Age 7 needs some help. He's in pain. He's hurting. He's been abused. You got to go back and work with him. When you go back, okay, and this is science, guys. When you go back, you will change the electrical charges around that memory, and we're going to talk about this in a minute. And when you change the electrical charges around that memory, what's going to happen is you're going to turn it into a positive, or at least neutralize it so you don't feel it. Okay? When I just needed to release the pain from the Mayan cave beating up experience, I went into neutrality first, and then eventually I turned it into a positive. And I had to go back and fold my paper back a couple of times, actually a few times, because it was pretty painful. And I would go back and I would hug the me, and I would take our power back from him, and I would tell me it's okay. And I would, just say I went into this meditation me, and here's why it happened, and here's why we brought this in. It's actually for our greatest good, and it's okay, and I love you. And I would let the me from like 2 weeks earlier cry. And I would hold her, and I would forgive her for being in that situation. When you change the past like that, you will change your future. I had a boy one time I worked with. He was 28 and very handsome man. And when he was 13, he had a bottle rocket go off underneath him, and it burned him really significantly. So he always wears a beard to kind of hide some of the scars. And we got him into this meditation. We brought him back, and he talked to his 13-year-old when he was in his bed, because the kids were mean. You know how kids are. They called him freak and made fun of him. And he's like, oh my God. He's like, we got out of the meditation after he worked with his 13-year-old. And he's like, I don't even know how this is possible. And I said, what? And he said, I have a memory of me at 13, and I totally forgot about it until we just did this. But I have a memory of me at 13 and feeling an older version of me come to my bedside and help me. And I thought I was like delusional. He's like, we just did that. I'm like, yeah, that happens. So we have a question here. He says, what happens if you can't remember the trauma of the wounded you? Oh, we're going to talk about that. That's coming up. Sir, you have a very good psychic mind, because that's going to lead me right into the next pieces. Not everybody has memories, and not everybody can go back because it's too painful. So here's our next slide. Sometimes you have no memories. There are some keys that you can do. First of all, when you don't have a memory, you can't remember your childhood. Maybe it's too painful. Maybe it's not safe to go back. Maybe it's buried. Okay. You got to take one step at a time. This is okay. Okay. There's some keys that you can do. First of all, see the pictures? Find a picture of you in childhood. Find pictures and just start to look at them and connect with them. Feel them just by looking at the photo if you can. Okay. Then when you get into meditation, all right, and I've got the meditation already created for you guys. When you get into the meditation, you're going to go to your last, okay, or your earliest in life, safe or happy you, or memory that you can remember. Imagine that you're going to hold their hand, and together you're going to go and find just one other you who needs you. Okay? So, that's the thing. Take their hand and let them guide you because they're happy and okay. Learn to connect with somebody who's safe first. All right? I've worked with people who, one woman, she had been on medication for 40 years and she had been in pain for 40 years. And we worked her through, she had no memory of childhood. We worked her through surfacing. She got off medication. She's happy, productive, gardening, all that kind of thing, just being a happy person because we finally helped her to find her memories. But sometimes if they're really buried, you've got to take it baby steps, okay? And if you need, call for help. This is what I do for a living, okay? Or find someone like me if you want to go in person. I work by phone, but I prefer phone, okay? It keeps all the tangible away. It keeps us really getting inside, okay? Or use the workbook that I created, and I'll show that at the end, or the meditation I'm about to show you, okay? Sometimes you can just call on an emotion or a behavior or a belief, okay? So sometimes you can just say, I don't know what I'm supposed to heal, or I can't find any me's. So pick an emotion, okay? Or for me, I had to pick why I thought I was bad and worthless, okay? I have on my YouTube channel, I have guided meditations just for things like releasing insecurity. I knew I was insecure, maybe didn't know why, okay? Or maybe you're angry, but you don't know why, all right? Get in there and just do the one on anger or do the one on grief and sadness or whatever it is you need to. But pick one and just start. The more you uncover, the more we'll uncover. Take it step by step. And please, and I cannot say this more, if you are seeing a counselor, a psychologist, or someone like that, let them know you're going to do this ahead of time. If you are on medication, do not go off without talking to your doctor first. Those medications are toxic and dangerous if you go off too fast. They are to be titrated off of carefully, okay? So here's the thing. Step 3, after you find some yous, here's what you do. You connect with them, okay? It's either you at any moment before this moment right now. You see them, you feel them, okay? Don't push them away, no matter how brutal the experience is. Just see them. Your younger yous need you. Feel how they feel about themselves. Hug them, hold them, nurture them. If you can't do that, sit by them, hold their hand, or just be there with them. And I want you to notice if you don't like them, because that happens. My 17-year-old, woo, I did not like her. My 40-year-old, woo, I really didn't like her, okay? Sometimes you don't like them. But if you can, imagine that you are becoming their parent. You get to be the parent now, and you will change your past, which will change your now, and will change your future, because when you unfold that piece of paper, everything is changed. If you don't like your you, please know that is okay, all right? It's okay. You may not be ready to forgive or connect with a younger you. Sometimes it takes more than one time. I had to go to my 17 and my 40-year-old. Oh my God, I don't even know how many times. Okay, but now we're all a big happy family. I love them all. I actually looked inside of me and I was like, nobody's hiding. Who in me needs me because I'm here for you, okay? Nobody's hiding. I love you. Remember that there is nothing that you could do here on earth. That source, okay, you can call that God, creator, higher self, higher beings, whatever. There is nothing that source judges you for. Every human is humanly conditioned. And source, if you came here and you were just playing the good girl, good boy, they're going to be like, dude, what a waste. You didn't come here to play good. You came here to experience and grow. Good God, get in life, okay? So some human conditioning is just uglier than others, but we're all supposed to go through it, right? We didn't come here to be stagnant. And it is critical for you to always ask yourself why you can't forgive or don't like you. And if you need to, go back to the wonders of why, or again, call for help. All right. I've done this with thousands of clients. We can get you there. All right. So here's the other thing. Teach them. Teach your younger yous about what you learned. Teach your younger yous, why you chose this life. Teach them about consciousness. Teach them about your experiences, about why they should forgive themselves, about why you forgave them. Teach them about human conditioning. Teach them about loving themselves. Let them see themselves through your eyes, okay? Teach them how you learn to forgive in your wise woman or wise man brain. And be patient. You will eventually forgive and heal. Just give it time if you need. And I said this before, soul's work is hard work, guys, but it is the work that will make your life easy. The last step, you gotta release the charges around harsh emotions. This is where, when you're working with your younger yous and you're holding them and you're teaching them and you're connecting with them, be vulnerable. Feel what they feel with them. They have a dark cloud in them. Don't push that emotion away. Feel it like it's a big black cloud and send it out of the body where both of you can consciously make a choice to release it. If you don't imagine all of that pain and consciously surrender it, it is going to control you. I want to make sure that this isn't a question for us. No, I paid my G Suite. Okay, my Google. All right, so when you're in this meditation, you're connecting, you're forgiving, you're teaching, you are their parent, and you're releasing emotion consciously, sending it out of the body like a big black cloud. You have neural programming, guys, inside of you. You are made of millions of neurons. Every neuron has a belief. This is a basic way to understand it. Every neuron, if you imagine every neuron in your body is a belief, they grow these little tentacles out of them. See the tentacles? Those are called neurites. So they're going to grow belief to belief to belief to belief to belief to belief to belief. This is your neurovascular system and neurological system. All right. You have created over time your own belief system to believe you're not good enough, or maybe you're incapable, or maybe you have charges around something. All right. And you can break them apart. When you go in and you release these charges, okay, you're feeling your big black cloud inside of you, and you release and let go of the charges, and you teach the younger yous something different, guess what you are doing? Biologically, you are breaking apart neural patterning or beliefs that are running in your background like a computer program. You're not good enough, you're not good enough, you're not good enough. Okay, you're going to break that apart. And all of a sudden you're going to realize, what the heck was I thinking? I'm totally good enough. And you are. For years, I used to tell my clients after I do this with them, I would say, okay, I know this is going to sound strange, but it's going to take like 3 days. And after 3 days, you're going to feel a lot different. And I never knew why it was 3 days. Well, guess what? Did you know that it takes 3 days to regrow a neuron? Process that while I plug in my computer. Okay, I'm back. So the other thing is, remember, as you're in this experience, anytime you're thinking about processing, doing anything in this type of work, do not hold harsh emotions. Send them out of your body. Use the box of emotions meditation on my YouTube channel, or just send all of your pain in a box. It will neutralize your the energy around the feeling when you send it out of the body. I promise you, you're not poisoning the world or poisoning anyone else. Okay, so you want to go through these experiences of consciously letting go. And if you don't do it consciously, you're going to have a dark force inside of you, always subconsciously controlling you, called the ego. And the ego will not be tamed. It will be like a little monster that will come out of you. All right. And remember this. We're going to come back to this emotional state of being chart, okay? This is one that I modified from Dr. David R. Hawkins, all right, in his book called The Power versus Force. When you were born beautiful love at a vibration of 500. And as you went through hard experiences, here you go, you create a bunch of electrical charges, negative this, negative that, negative this, negative that, and eventually get down to the bottom of the basement where you are driven by fear, called the ego. And you'll get into all these hard emotions. When you release those charges in this meditation, you will increase your vibration. You will cross eventually, if you do this enough, you will cross a critical line. And I'll tell you what, you guys, after one meditation, although it was an hour and a half, okay, I sat there and like saw everything I needed to see. And I was happy for like a year and a half. And then I was ready for my next level. Okay. But then it just got more beautiful and more beautiful. Okay. So what happens is that you're going to eventually get up into living your life where you were at the beginning. Okay. But you got to rebuild your emotional charges. Step 5 in this meditation, guys, is this. You have to forgive. And if you can't forgive others, okay. But at least face you. Face those younger yous and forgive them. You have to forgive you first. It is the most important forgiveness you can ever go through. And only forgive others if you're ready. Okay, they're human too. They should be forgiven too, okay? And they would never have harmed you if they were happy inside of themselves. So, and please, remember your parents. If you're holding grudges against your parents and you think, well, they're the adults, they're older. No, you don't heal just because you're older. You heal because you did the work. And if your parents never did the work, or were never even taught to do the work, which most of them weren't, you're going to be in a better place than they are eventually. Okay? So step 5, forgiveness. Rewrite your story, my friends. And what are you forgiving? You're forgiving you for becoming insecure, becoming needy, and for coping the way that you did or do, for acting like a jerk, for betraying yourself, for hurting yourself and others, betraying others, not standing up for yourself, allowing abuse to happen, okay, to yourself or others. Or maybe you just need to forgive yourself for being human. Yeah, you were programmed with an ego and you're human. Step 6, take time to just be with your younger yous. Love them, nurture them, have compassion for them, okay? And sometimes you need to face you right now. Sometimes after you visit all these younger yous, sometimes maybe you just need to bring you in front of you and say, you, I love you. Or maybe you're dealing with body image issues and you need some love. Here's another thing that I always recommend. When you work with a younger you, ask your younger yous what they need to be happy and healthy. And whatever they need emotionally, give it to them. You give them the love that they needed from a parent. You give them the nurturing and support. You give them the trust, okay, that they didn't get. And don't judge your parents for not giving it to them. They couldn't help it. They were just conditioned too. I had one woman, she's like, I said, what do they need? She needs a pretty dress. Okay, you put her in a pretty dress then. And she put her in a pretty dress. And then she hugged her. And at the end, just invite them into your heart to be a welcome part of your life, because they are teaching you. They're making you wiser and stronger. And they are allowing you to choose love, compassion, because you're choosing love and compassion for them. Okay? Now, if you can't invite them into your heart to be a welcome part, don't worry. It will come eventually. Only do that if you're ready. Only forgive if you're ready. But take this step by step. And if you can't do it yet, don't beat yourself up. There's no guilt and shame in soul work, right? This is hard work. You'll get there. And here's the thing. Repeat, 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 repeat. Okay, the more you do this, the better you're going to feel. And if you get stuck, Call me or call someone else. I don't care who you call, just call someone, right? Call a wise friend, all right? Do the meditation. You will remember all the terrible memories that you have and you won't feel anything, okay? And what happens is that you're going to end up with innate wisdom in yourself because you chose to be happy. So the meditation, and then we're going to take comments here for in just a second. So if you have comments, start typing them now because it's 2 minutes to. So start typing now if you have questions or comments. And otherwise, I am going to put this. I already put the YouTube channel. Why is this not escaping? That's interesting. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to put this on our chat so you can just copy it. And let me just share one other thing before I go back. If you need some help with healing, this book right here, The Art of Inner Alchemy, you can buy on Barnes & Noble, Target, Amazon. The workbook you can get that from me for free, okay? The Inner Alchemy for Teens, you can also get on Amazon, okay? I think on Barnes & Noble and Target, they all have it, okay? But these these two, the smaller ones are workbooks. The bigger one is a book, okay? If you need to read about this stuff, all right? So let me get in here. Let me put this. All right, what I just put on here is, oh, I sent it only to Sharmila. Sharmila got it, but nobody else does. Sharmila, you are special. Okay, here we go. Now everybody has it. Okay, so that is the meditation. It is a new one. I had an old one, but it really was terrible. So I redid it and it's there. Somebody says to me, one difficulty in this life is fear of being seen. Those that I feel have seen, those that I feel have seen me often want far more than I can give, and then they leave. That's a pattern. That is an absolute ongoing pattern. You could feel it, okay? So this pattern, you want to start with looking at when is the first time you remember this happening. Okay, and then once you remember what the first time it was happening, you need to get into meditation and love that you, who especially it feels like there's, you want to ask yourself, do the wonders of why around this. Why don't I want to be seen? Why don't I want people to take from me? Okay, that's going to lead you back to younger yous. Okay. Another person says, the books are so worth purchasing. Oh, thank you. And the workbook is amazing and I've used it multiple times. Yay! Okay. And this person said, thank you. All right. Any other questions before we go? Because you guys have some homework to do. Get in there and just love your younger yous. Download the workbook. I'll put it on the Facebook page right now. And oh, Catherine, that's who it is. She finally told me her name. Fernandez. I remember now. Okay, I always do that. I'm so terrible with names. And I worked with a woman for like a year and a half, and I saw her like 2 months after we quit working together, and I couldn't remember her name. Really? Names, they just don't come out of me. Okay, Kathy says the meditations are really good. Thank you, Kathy. Okay, so, and is there a comment? Let's see. Nope, we're all good. All right. Any other questions? Are you guys ready to go start your Saturday? I'm ending. It's like 8:01 here. You are welcome, Kathleen. So, thank you guys too. I want to say a little thank you to everybody who has been supporting me on Facebook, and Dana, your baby is as cute as can be. And I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. If it weren't for you guys on Facebook, I think I would have been lost in Italy. I just would have been, I just was so alone. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'm in massive, massive gratitude. I'm almost crying, so I'm just going to okay. So Kathleen and Ron both said, keep up the classes. Can I see a show of hands? Remember, you guys all have, if you scroll over the bottom, you can go to reactions and give me a show of hands, like a thumb up or something. If you would like to see more of these transition time classes, And otherwise you can also we'll just have the wisdom classes. Those I'll for sure continue. So I'm seeing good. I'm seeing plenty of you who would like to continue. Okay, good, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, I will keep them going. So I think Saturday has been a really good time for us to do this. So let's plan for next Saturday, same bat time, same bat channel. Next Saturday, before this class, is the live Q&A. That's where I channel my guides and answer questions. So show up for the live Q&A if you'd like. You're welcome to invite anyone you want. And I'm going to put these videos again on our Facebook page. I'm also going to be posting this. I'm glad I remembered to say this. If you are not on my email chain or my phone chain or both, and you want to get on, I'm going to post something again to say, hey, if you want to be notified by email, Facebook Messenger, or a text, let me know because I can do that. Okay? All right. All right, guys. Have a great day. Oh, the person who just texted me privately. Yes, we can certainly talk about C19. I can't today because it's like 8 p.m. and I'm exhausted, but you can certainly bring things up. Like Caitlin posted something. Oh, Judy, hi, I just saw you. But you want to get in there and go ahead and feel free to post some things if you want to. Okay, Judy, contact me on Messenger. We can reschedule if you want. Okay, bye. Bye, Kirsten. Love you, love you, love you.